Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to explore CSS Flexbox, which is a powerful tool for creating flexible web designs. So let's get into it. So what exactly CSS Flexbox? CSS Flexbox is a layout model that helps us to arrange items in one direction, either horizontally or vertically. It makes aligning, spacing, and distributing atoms inside a container much easier and more flexible way. To use Flexbox, we need two things. The first one is a Flex container, which is the parent which contains the parent elements, and the second one is Flex atoms, which contains the child elements inside the container. Before Flexbox, web developers use different techniques to create layouts. Let's quickly go overview some of these. First one is block elements. The block elements were used to create sections on web pages, but they didn't offer much flexibility. Second one is inline or float. Inline or float were used for positioning elements or but this often leads to a messy code and alignments issues. Third one is table. Table were used for two-dimension layouts, but they were not designed for modern flexible layouts. Fourth one is positioning. Positioning allowed for explicit placement of elements, but it required manual adjustments and was not responsive. So these techniques had their own limitations, and that's where Flexbox comes in, offering a more efficient and flexible way to design the layouts. So why should you use Flexbox? Here are some key benefits. First is flexibility. Flexbox allows you to create layout that adapt to different screen sizes and content size easily. Next one is easy atom arrangement. You can arrange the atom horizontally or vertically with just a few lines of a code. Next is efficient spacing. It makes managing space between atoms simple and automatic. Next one is alignment control. You can easily align the atoms in the container both horizontally and vertically. Next is atom order flexibility. With Flexbox, you can change the order of atoms without altering your HTML. The last one is built into Bootstrap 4. Flexbox is used in Bootstrap 4, making it even easier to implement. These are just a few reasons why Flexbox is so powerful and widely used in modern web design. Let's quickly go over some important Flexbox properties. First up, display flex. When you use this on a container, it turns the container into a flex container and all the atoms inside become a flex atoms. This gives you a full control over how they are arranged. Basically, if you wanted to use Flexbox, just add display flex to the parent container. Take a look at this diagram to see how the main axis works. The main axis is the direction in which the flex atoms are laid out. If you set the flex direction to row, the main axis is horizontal. If you set it to the column, the main axis is vertical. The cross axis is the opposite of the main axis. So if the main axis is horizontal, the cross axis is vertical. That's basic idea of the two axes in a flex box. Now that we have covered the main axis and cross axis, let's move on to the next property, flex direction. The property controls the direction in which your flex atoms are laid out along the main axis. You can set it to row. Default atoms are arranged horizontally. In column, atoms stack vertically. Row reverse or column reverse, which reverse the order of atoms. Next we have justify content property. Justify content controls how the flex atoms are aligned along the main axis. You can use it to adjust the spacing between the atoms and align them in different ways. You can set it values like flex start. Flex start aligns the atom to the start of the container. Next is flex end. Flex end aligns the atom to the end. Center. Center centers the atom. Next is space between. Space between puts the equal space between the atoms. Or next is space around. Space around puts the equal space around each atom. Next property is flex wrap. The flex wrap property controls whether the flex atoms should wrap onto a new line. If there is not enough space in the container, by default atom will stay on a single line. You can change that with flex wrap. You can set it to wrap. Wrap means atoms will wrap onto the next line. If you set to the no wrap, the atoms stay on a single line even if they are overflow. Or if you set to the wrap reverse, atoms wrap in a reverse order. Let's move on to the next property, flex flow. The flex flow property is a shorthand for setting both flex direction and flex wrap at the same time. So instead of writing them separately, you can just do something like flex flow row wrap. This will set the direction to row and allow the atoms to wrap onto the next line. Finally, align atom and align content help to align the atom along the cross axis. Align atom works when you have a single line of atoms, and align content is for when you have a multiple lines. Now, let's see how all these Flexbox properties work in a code. Alright, let's start by creating our HTML structure. We have a div with the class container. Inside it, we add 5 more div elements. These will be our flex atoms. Now let's jump into the CSS. First, we style the container. We want it to take up the full width 100%. For the height, we set the height to 100 VH. So it covers the full height of our viewport. I'm also adding background color and padding as a 20 pixel. Style the flex atom inside the container. We give the div inside the container fixed height and width 50 px and height 50 pixel, and add some padding as 20 pixel and large font size. Make the item look nice. We will also add the background color white. Add border 1px solid black. Here you can see the output. To use Flexbox, just add display flex to a container and it automatically arranges the atom inside it in a row. Let me show you the output. The atoms will automatically appear side by side. Next property is flex direction. So here I have set the flex direction to row. So you can see the atoms are arranged in a row. By default, atoms are arranged in a row, but you can change it to column. You can see the atoms are now arranged vertically in a column. So here I have set flex direction to row reverse. So atoms, you can see the atoms are arranged in a row, but they are reversed. So I have set flex direction to column reverse. Here you will notice that the atoms are stacked in a column, but the last atom appears at the top and the first atom appears at the bottom. Next property is justify content. So I have set the justify content to center. You can see the atoms are now aligned to the center of the container. Now I have set justify content to flex start. You can see the output where the atoms are aligned to the start of the container. So here I set justify content to flex end. This aligns the atom to the end of the container. Now you can see that the atoms are positioned at the end of the container. So here I have set justify content to space around. Here you will notice that the atoms have an equal space before the first atom and between the last atom, after the last atom, making the space even. Here I have set justify content to space between. Here you can see that the atoms are spaced evenly with the first atom at the start and the last atom at the end. Now I have added 20 div atom inside the container. Finally, let's look at flex wrap. Wrap, wrap. By default, atoms stay on one line, but you can allow them to wrap to the next line by using the flex wrap property. Here you can see that the atoms are wrapped to the next line 17, 18, 19 and 20. Here I have set flex wrap to no wrap. So here you can see flex wrap no wrap is applied, so all the atoms stay in a single row. Now I have changed the flex wrap value to wrap reverse. So you can see that the items wrap to the next line, but the second row appears above the first one instead of below. So the next property is flex flow. Here you will notice that the atoms are arranged in a row, and if they are not enough space, they will wrap to the next line. So here I have set align atom to center. So you see with the align atom center, the atoms are vertically centered in the container. You can also use flex start to align atom top or flex end to align atom bottom. Now I have set align content to center. You see with the align content center, the rows of the atom are centered in the container. Thanks for watching and we will see you in the next video.